Put your hands together. Jim Warren.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Jason turned the mic off on me, kind of messed with me a little bit. I want to talk to you guys a little bit this morning. Actually, not really talk to you as much as all of us talk together a little bit here about come on now. Being inferior. What the word means and what the world wants you to think. I know this is something I struggle with a lot. Inferior basically means not it being the lowest one, being out of place, not where you need to be, obsolete, different things of that nature. And I feel like the world we're living in wants to make everybody feel inferior. Nobody's good enough. Nobody hits the bar anymore. And I want to go into let's go into the first. We'll go into the first three things that the world makes you think that are the most important things. And I'm sure each and every one of you guys will probably agree with me on these three things because, I mean, honestly, this is what the whole world is based on anymore. First and foremost, you got beauty. Everybody thinks that the pretty people's got it best. You ain't got nothing if you ain't got a beautiful body, a beautiful outward appearance. I know in the Bible, 1 Samuel 16:7, it says, man looks on the outward appearance, the Lord looks on the heart. Not in the heart, on the heart. He looks at what you do and how you act. I know this is something that people like. I mean, this causes deep depression. Thinking that you're not pretty enough, like you're not. You need to change what you look like to be into today's society. I like to call it the Barbie effect. Every woman thinks she should look like a Barbie, and every man thinks he should look like a G.I. Joe. It's just the way, a man's not nothing if he ain't muscular, a woman ain't nothing if she ain't skin and bones. And that's honestly, obviously I don't go by that, but I mean, I've tried myself at a diet or two, but they don't work out. I'm really bad for quitting, I think. But God wants to know what's inside of you. He wants to know what you bring to the table. He doesn't want to see your outward appearance. He wants to look deep in you and find the things that... Man, my phone is being really stupid today. Right? It's only smart as the user, right? We'll go ahead and flip into the second one. Wisdom. Obviously, I fall short in that aspect too. I can't use a smartphone to save my life. My kid at 4 years old could probably use a phone better than I could. But in all honesty, I mean, wisdom is a thing. Different people look at it in a different aspect. Wisdom can fall into several different categories, but only one really matters, and that's the wisdom of God. But you have intelligence, then you've got street cred, I guess you would call it. Street smarts. It's basically common sense compared to, like, it's like one of those things, like the world thinks that you can't have both. You're either really common sense wise or you're really book smart. And either way you go, you're like completely on one side of the thing. You can't be like right in the middle. So you either got one or the other. But the wisdom of God is what's important, though. He's already seen the beginning and the end. He knows what it takes to get you through it. The only wisdom you have to have is just the wisdom that you know that He is God and that He will help you get through whatever you're going through. Number 3, and everybody probably has already figured this one out, is money. So you got beauty, wisdom, and riches. That's the 3 things that the world looks at to say, you're not good enough. I mean, in all honesty, I always feel that way. I feel like I'm completely inferior to everyone else. I feel like I don't meet the bar in any way, shape, or form. I'm not pretty. I'm definitely not smart. And I make a little bit of money, but not enough. But that's the world talking, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm happy with who I am, or else I still wouldn't be this size. I mean, honestly. I'm not smart at all, but, I'm okay with that. Because God said that He would take the dumb things of the world to confound the wise. Like He will, I'm sure I will be the first thing used, because I'm sure I'm as dumb as it gets. It's like, I'm pretty sure a box of rocks has a few more IQ. But I mean, honestly though, when you really look at the whole scheme of things, when you're growing up, the first thing is that you're growing up, they send you to school and they make you think that you have to have the best grades. You have to get through college, you have to have this great job so you can make plenty of money so you can pay for liposuction so you can get pretty. I mean, that's what movie stars do. And I mean, you can't, it's not really the fact that you have to have all 3, but the world makes you strive to want all 3. In all honesty, I mean, to be truly and completely honest, you can take one of these and feel decent about yourself, but just having that one thing, it's still going to make you lacking in the other 2, and it's still going to be on your mind. I promise you, people that have a lot of money, they think they have wisdom, but they don't. They have friends because they pay friends. People that do have wisdom are usually really loners because they make everybody else feel stupid. I make everybody feel smart, so I'm good in this boat. That's the reason why I got a lot of friends. People hang around me to feel smart. And then, beautiful people, honestly, there was a study out there somewhere. I run across it as I was coming through. Beautiful people are more likely to have depression and to feel lonely. Because nobody wants to hang around a beautiful person. And if you think about it this way, would you want to, if you're trying to impress somebody, would you want to hang around with somebody that's prettier than you, or somebody that you look a little bit better than? If you're a 7, you don't want to hang out with a 10. You want to hit that 5 mark so you look good. You know what I mean? I mean, honestly, that's the way the world wants you to look at it, though. And people don't think about the downside to having each one of these things, because once you have money, you're scared to lose it. You're worried everybody's trying to grab it. When you have wisdom, whenever you know that you're right about something and somebody else is wrong, they're going to argue with you until the day they die. Trust me and my wife has this fight all the time. She thinks that I know everything, and apparently I think I know everything. But she swears up and down, "Oh, you must know everything." I don't know nothing. I just put my opinion out there, and she's like, "I didn't want your opinion." That's fine. You don't have to have my opinion. I mean, look at something, I say what it is, and if it's wrong, then I'm human. I apologize for it. I really do. Now, she might not think that I do. I promise I apologize. I'm not that guy that goes out there like, I'm right no matter what. I'm never wrong. I'm the guy that goes out, I will ask for directions when I'm lost. I promise you. 5 minutes going the wrong way, and I'm like, holy crap, I need to figure out what's going on. So I will stop and ask for directions. Because the GPS, they're as bad as dumb as I am because I'm the one using it. But in all honesty, I don't understand the concept of how we've drifted so far off. I mean, I guess I wish I kind of do know how we've got this far off the path. Because it's the world. The world has driven us in different, it starts off almost parallel and then it starts drifting off. That's how the world and the fleshly things do when God's going this way. You know what I mean? It's a slow process. It's not like a right turn. It's we drift. Right. And then the farther you drift, the farther apart you get. Because God's path's still going straight. Is that we're drifting off a little bit more. And the world has used, I think, more these three things more than anything to cause the inferiority complex. I think that's how you would say that. I don't know. I'm not good with big words either. Yeah. If anybody knows how to say that, please say it right now, because I feel like I totally murdered that word. Did I really? See, that was from God. There's no way I would have got it otherwise, I promise you. And I want to talk to you today a little bit about fixing yourself in comparison to these things. First and foremost, God has no want nor care for any of these three things. God created everything, first and foremost. God created you the way you're supposed to be. So as far as beauty and all that goes, the way you are the way you're supposed to be. And then wisdom, God doesn't care what would we call that? What IQ you have, or how much common sense you got, or where you fall in the spectrum of anything else in the world, other than the fact that He sent His Son for you to be saved. He sent Jesus to die for us. And He wants you to accept it. He's not making you accept it, but He wants you to accept it. In Luke 12:15 it says, a man's life does not consist in the abundance of things which he possesses. So basically it's saying that no matter how many things you have in the world, no matter how much you've accumulated, no matter your status, where you're at in society, He doesn't look upon you as you need to do any more than the next person. He just wants you to love Him and to love His Son and to further the kingdom of God, which is basically finding more people that need to be saved. It's not about how good you look as a Christian. Like, I feel like we've even fallen into our own categories in these as a Christian. Like, we want to throw that big check in the offering plate. Make us feel better about ourselves. We want to seem like we're more in tune with God than anyone else. We almost to brag about it now. Like, the church has fallen short of the glory of God. And it's time for us to come back and knock back on that door and to find ourselves again. Brother. judge that person on why they're going to the altar. We want to figure out what's going on. We're a very right. No. I mean, in all honesty, if you talk to any pastor, preacher, Sunday school teacher, even the ones in the back, God's going to fight. Not God. The devil's going to fight you on these things. It's going to make you feel like you're not living up to what you're supposed to be. I know my wife, even as a Sunday school teacher, she fought it all the time. Like it was like she felt like she was never enough. Like she felt like she was failing at her job. And I was like, listen, that's the devil. He wants you to make you feel that way. And then like midweek, like Wednesday, one of the kids would come up and mention something about one of her lessons, and it would like lighten her day and it would make her feel awesome. But then Sunday rolled around and then she felt like she was right back in the same boat. And it's a vicious cycle of always feeling like you don't meet the standard. We feel like there's a spot, there's this goal line that we have to get to. We don't have to be the prettiest, but we have to be here. We can't be here, we got to be here. We don't want to be the smartest, but we still want to look smarter than this person and this person. We don't want to be the smartest one, but we want to fall right on that upper line. You know, and a lot of people would say, churches, this ain't happening in churches. You know, there is hierarchies in other churches. I promise you. Like, they take it past elders and things to that nature. And, I mean, I'm not saying it happens here. I'm just saying this is a problem that I've seen. You know? I've seen this happen before. And if we don't keep our eyes on things of this nature, then we fall. Like, we fall into that category. As bad as I hate to say it, it's that little line, that very slight, abrupt, like, veering. It's just, it'll take you there without knowing. And it's like as soon as you let me tell you something. Playing with trains as a kid was the worst thing in the world. Because I promise you, and even if you had all the tires on it, it didn't matter. There was a crack in one of the rails or whatever, still ended up off track every flipping time. Like it didn't stop. Like it would make like 2 good trips and then all of a sudden it'd be off. It's because the way the wheels are made on the back are meant to remain stationary. But the wheels on the front are the turning part. Alright? So if you have something that's staying straight and something that's meant to turn with what's coming in front, is it really going to stay on the track completely unless you glue it to the track? I mean, in all honesty. Like, I'm not talking like the big model trains, because the big model trains are like, you know, perfect. They're like awesome. But a little kid train that you normally get, the back wheels are normally stationary and the front wheels turn. Okay? So if God's going straight and He's pushing us forward, but we're turning, eventually we're going to get to the point where something's going to strain and something's going to come off rails. Okay? And these 3 things are the things in society that hide themselves, that we've been, I almost want to say corrupted, but it's been embedded in who we are from the time of growing up till now. These 3 things are the most important things. You have to have a house of money, you have to have a college education, to have a job to make the money, and then you want to look like the perfect family. You don't want nothing to be wrong. You want to fight in public. You don't want to have to call your kids down in public. I don't know how many times I had to tell my kid, listen, if you don't want beaten when you get home, you better calm down. I don't beat my kids often. No, I'm joking. No, I really don't. I mean, have you ever seen TD? He's bigger than I am. I can't whoop the kid. He's been that size since the time like he was like 6 years old, so there's nothing I can do. I try to keep the bluff up, but it's rough with him. Right.
He's gotten very good at it. And his main goal is to get our focus off of God. And we've been taught generation after generation to put more emphasis on man's approval than God's approval, or man's acceptance versus God's acceptance. To get man's acceptance, you have to have all these things you talked about. To get God's acceptance, you really just have to accept Him. You give your life to Him, He accepts you. He accepts you before He just waiting on you to come do it.
Exactly. Like, yeah.
But all these things we focus so much on because it's the job. And he's got, like I said, he's got very good at it. Keep our attention on God. If he can do that, he'll win.
Without a doubt. And that's kind of where, I mean, that's in the aspect of it, that's where I was going with this, is that, you know, it's the devil's job to make you feel inferior, whether you are or not, which no one is. God made everybody perfect. Romans 2:11 says, "For there is no respect of a person with God." He doesn't respect anything that you've done other than he wants you to find Jesus and to give yourself to him and to become more like his son. He wants you to look like Jesus. He doesn't want you to look like what the world wants you to look like. He wants to see your son, his son, in the things you do. Not so much the way you look, but in the things you do, how you respond to a situation. If God leads you in a direction, he expects you to follow it without thinking almost. He wants you to be, how would you say that? Well, going on. I will continue on because I know it's about 10:30. So, let's just say I feel that we all fall into one of these categories eventually. Maybe every day, maybe every other day, at least, somewhere in there. People don't want to admit to their faults because everyone wants to feel like they're good. Everybody wants to be like, I'm good today. I'm good. It's okay to fall. The Bible says that a righteous man falls 7 times in a day. Okay? The difference is that a righteous man stands back up. It's not the fact that you fall. It's not the fact that you come short in what you're doing. I understand people feel bad about different things, and you know, it's okay to fall into this situation, but you need to get out of the situation. You need to find your way out. You don't need to stay in it. Jimmy's big one-liner thing was, how did it go? It's okay to fall, but don't keep tripping over the same cord every day. Learn to move this out of the way. And it might not take me 15 minutes to get through this, but there's a little exercise I want everybody. I mean, I know there's not a lot of us, but you don't have to really do it. But this is something that I've done before. And in all honesty, it's helped me out. So I'm going to close with this little kind of, we'll call it homework. I want you to go home. It don't have to be today, it don't have to be next week. But just when you're feeling really down about yourself, I want you to sit down and I want you to think of everything in your mind that you feel inferior about. Whether it be weight, appearance, money, social status, how many likes you got. And I know that a lot of people would laugh at that, but like how many likes you got on Facebook. Like, a lot of these things hurt people. Like, you don't even realize. Like, I never like anything on Facebook. And people probably think that I'm a hateful person, but I don't get on Facebook. My Facebook is basically my messenger so I can talk to the church groups and my work. Because apparently that's the only way that this society talks now. There's no such thing as text messaging. There's no such thing. Yeah, calling is like totally obsolete. Heaven forbid. Like, I don't know if my kids know how to answer a phone. I mean, straight up. But it's not the fact that I don't want to get on there and look at what everybody's doing. I don't have time. I really don't. But some people take offense to it. It's like, oh my gosh, I got 3 likes on my morning photo this morning. If I don't get at least 13 likes on my evening photo, then I'm going to be highly upset. And, I mean, there's people, and I'm not saying that it's bad to fall into that category, okay? I kind of am, but I'm totally saying that I understand that people fall into the traps of the devil, okay? It happens. But I want you to go down and make your list of everything that makes you feel inferior. Everything. Every slightest little thing. The car you drive. Maybe the car you drive is not the car that you want. And it makes you feel inferior to everybody else. Maybe it's the shoes you wear. Maybe it's your height. Like your legit height. Maybe you feel like you're a short person. Maybe then you feel like way too tall. I feel like I get used and abused because I'm too tall. They call me the ladder at work because I'm the one that gets the top stuff off the shelf. Because nobody wants to use this top stock cart. I promise you. Or the sign changer. That's a good one. I change signs for a living. I make my money to change signs. But I mean, in all honesty, like things like this, like everybody would be like, man, I wish I was tall. No, you don't wish you were tall. You wish you were about middle size. You wish you were right in the middle. And then all the middle people are like, well, I'd rather be tall or I'd rather be short than where I'm at. And then short people are like, or tall people are like, man, I wish I was short. It's like I wouldn't hit my head on the ceiling fan when I walk through a 6-foot house. I've done that before. Our ceilings are 6 foot, and we got a ceiling fan for some god-awful reason. And we're like, you know what? Let's drop this about 4 extra inches. It's like, so you can only imagine what TD does. My kid is like about 4 inches taller than me. Like the kid's like, it back hits him right in the nose every time. Poor kid. I feel bad for him. But we have fixed that since. I mean, we got one of the, what are they called? The low profile ones, where the lights come off the bottom and not are like on top. But anyway. But figure out each and everything. I mean everything. Okay? Write it all on a paper. Now, when you go through this paper, I want you to look at it, and I want you to put a check beside each and everything that you can fix. Am I telling you to go on a diet? No, but if you feel that badly about how much you weigh, yes, go on a diet. I'm driving the wrong kind of car. Well, work harder at your job, get a better job, make more money. Work a little bit of overtime. There's things that you can do to fix the way you feel about certain things. But there's a few things you can't fix. Okay? Now the things that you can't fix, you take your paper, you fold it into 4 pieces. Well, you fold it for, where it's basically 4 squares. You put it under your pillow at night, and you pray to God to fix those things. You wake up the next morning, you tear it up. And that's basically saying that you're giving the things that you worry about to God. You're not going to look at those things anymore. You're not going to let these things make you feel inferior anymore. And believe it or not, it's very empowering to know that you give something to God. You take a little bit of time and then you tear it up and you don't look at it anymore. Because we can say we give it to God, but until we see ourselves giving it to God, until we do something to represent the giving of it to God, which this is what this is. It's not a voodoo ritual or anything like that. I'm just saying, this is you giving it to God. Okay? You pray on it, you sleep on it, you give it to God. You tear it up, you throw it in the trash can, you burn it, whatever you want to do, whatever you feel more empowered to do, just don't burn it in the house. Okay? I'm trying to make you guys responsible here. Because heaven knows that I would be that guy that, you go home and somebody burns one right in the living room and then the whole house gets on fire. You told me to burn it! No. For real. You do what you feel you need to do to get rid of this so it doesn't bother you anymore. Once it's gone, it's your job not to think about it anymore. Fix the things that you can fix if you want to fix them. If not, give them to God. Let God have them. God will take care of you one way or the other. He didn't put us on this earth to suffer. He didn't put us on this earth to feel inferior. He made us a peculiar people, but we're supposed to be different. That's the reason we need to be different. And not worrying about these things is a way to shine in that aspect, to be different. Because this is what the world wants you to see. This is what we need to not worry about. Jesus wasn't worried about any of these things. God wants us to be more like Jesus. This is a way for you to prove that you are giving it to God. That it's all in God's hands. Now, I'm sorry if you wake up the next morning and you're like 4 inches taller. I apologize. Because anything's possible with God. But if you give it to God, God will not... He will make you understand that where you're at is where you're supposed to be. You're perfect in His eyes. There's no changing you really need to do. If I could change any one thing, I would want to change the fact that I feel like I fail Him every day. That's the only thing that I look upon. Because I know I'm human and I'm going to fall. And we're all going to fall. But don't let what the world drags you down into be the reason you fall. Okay? I love you guys, and that's going to be it for me today. It's about 10:35. That's actually a little shorter than I thought it would be. But
Real quick before you close out, I just want to add something.
yes, please.
We've been focusing on this whole Sunday school lesson, and you hit on it a little bit a minute ago, but we've been talking about man concept. Feel like we don't add up to what man expects trying to fit into the world. But you mentioned earlier about falling short of what we feel like God wants us to be too.
Right.
We talk about Him and Sunday school people, ministers, all that often, and just in general as Christians, we feel like we don't add up or we don't stack up to what God wants us to do. We feel like we've fallen short.
how long you've been in church. A lot of people think that you can't find the glory of God until you've been in the church X amount of time. Like until you fall into a certain format. God loves everybody the same. Rich, poor, whether you've been in church all your life or whether you've been in church 3 days. It doesn't matter.
Well, and there's a lot that goes with that thing too about your time in church or your time in a ministry. You know, when I first started out as a young preacher, which I'm still not very far into it, but when I started at day one, I was told, hey, you're preaching tonight, like 10 minutes before church started, and I looked around, there's like 8 or 9 seasoned ministers in the house, been preaching for 20, 30 years each. I mean, there's probably over 100 years of experience in ministry sitting in the front row that I had to preach in front of.
Right.
I felt very inferior at that point because I thought, man, I don't have any of these. They're all great ministers. How am I going to do anything that even touches anybody? I mean, I shouldn't even be up here. But you have all this experience sitting here that can do a lot better job than I could.
Right.
And that's one of the things the devil will use on Christians is, like you mentioned, the time in ministry. We do focus on that a lot because it is because we don't think we're good enough yet.
Right. That's so true.
I don't care about that.
No. I mean, like Jeannie says it like every other service, I think. God could take a kid kicking a pop can outside and do a better job than what I'm doing right now. And I'm sure he could, without a doubt, because when the Spirit falls on you, then you're a vessel. You're no longer a preacher, a teacher, or anything like that. You're a vessel for God to use. And no matter what aspect you are in the church, you need to be that way. Like you can be out in the middle of McDonald's. If God lays it on your heart to sing a song or to say a prayer for someone or whatever, do it without hesitating. Do it without hesitation. Because the world doesn't want to be saved. They need something to feel complete, but they don't want to be saved. They feel like they've got it under control. But the only thing that will fill that hole that they're looking for is Jesus Christ. And what you do and the things that you say, yeah, some people might take offense to it or whatever, but there's going to be somebody that hears it. Everything that comes out of anyone that is of God will make it to its destination. It will not come back void. It specifically says that in the Bible. So if you're a vessel, no matter where you're at, no matter what form of church you're in, where you stand in the church, your words, the words of God that you let happen will always do what they're meant to do. They'll never come back void. They'll never be stale. They'll never fall short. Because that's of God. And as long as it's of God, it'll do what it's supposed to do. So, and I guess that's kind of like it's the same concept, but in a way it's like the opposite of the inferior thing. Is you feel inferior to do something. It's not inferior that you are something. It's an inferior aspect of something that you don't feel like you're capable of doing. Never, if God puts something on your heart, you do it. Singing, praying, testimony. The Lord knows how many testimonies that just random people's got up and said that's touched my heart, that's like, that's been what I needed to hear. Like, I could have never seen the person before, and they come in here and give a testimony. They could have been here for years, and I didn't even realize they were here, and they give that testimony, and it just touches me. That's what I needed to hear this whole time. And I'm thinking to myself, do I have a testimony that I need to give more often? Or how long did they have that testimony bottled up before they finally give it out? And we second guess God so much. It's time for us to blindly love and follow Jesus. Blindly. Without us being able to see where we're going, it's time for us to just fall into blind with what God's wanting us to do. as a church, as a person, all the above. It's time for us to come together. Time's coming short. I mean, we don't know the hour or the day, but we know it's getting closer. I can guarantee you that it is a day closer today than what it was yesterday. So when you look at it in that aspect, please be ready. I love you guys, and that's all I've got. But if you would do the homework, it would change your life. I promise you. Like I thought it was just a joke. I thought it was just a funny thing to do, like to make you feel like it. But no, honestly, it makes you feel empowered that God will take that away from you and then give you the opportunity for you to destroy that. So I love you guys. Thank you. I hope the words that I said was touch somebody today. We'll be dismissed and meet back here in about 15 minutes. Good job, Jason. You took us already for 45 minutes.